Euromaxx highlights. And here's your host, Louise Houghton.
Hello, and thanks for joining us today. Let's start with a quick look at what you can expect from the show in the next half an hour. Let's swing, how golden evergreens get people back on the dance floor. Metal masterpieces, sculptor Bernar Venet and his monumental artworks. And tough challenge, Stefanie Dietze crosses the Dolomites on a unicycle. Swing music is making a comeback, but it's being combined with popular electro beats to give it a modern twist. Clubs around Europe have found this modern slant on 1920s music a huge success, and the enthusiastic guests are even dressing the part as they dance the night away.
Classic swing music, underlaid with electronic beats. That's Electro Swing, a mixture of old and new that is currently sweeping the clubs in Europe's great cities. That includes Berlin. This evening, the best-known names on Berlin's and London's Electro Swing scene have invited everyone to the dance.
So you've got the great live music, sort of the energy and the atmosphere and the party atmosphere of the vintage music, but with the production and the beats and the energy of modern music as well. So you've got the two things together and makes an explosion of incredible kind of excitement and energy.
The evening begins with classic swing and a lesson on how to dance to it. Whether solo or with a partner, the dance course not only teaches a few basic steps, but also encourages people to improvise.
In the beginning, it's important to have fun and not worry about it too much. Just think, yes, swing. That's why it works so well, because the people get electro and these swing beats combined. And that's why they're going, hey.
Electro swing is becoming more and more popular in the clubs. It started in 2009 in London and then spilled over into Paris and Berlin. Now swing parties with electro beats are regularly celebrated in more than 10 European countries.
The bass is great. That's always good.
The electro beat that's mixed in gives it real power and emotion, and you can really express yourself. And it doesn't matter if you can't dance, then you just get off on the music.
It's about fun. It's supposed to be fun, and wearing vintage clothing is part of that.
Electro swing evenings usually include live performances, either solo concerts or as accompaniment to a DJ set, like here with the British-French duo Hodgebox and Pierre.
They're nice melodies, and that's something missing in the clubs, where beats are the thing. But swing has soul and warms your heart. The melodies are witty, sometimes beautiful and timeless. They're simply reworked in a modern way for everyone to enjoy.
We coined the phrase, the music of the first Great Depression with the technology of the second. Yeah, so I mean, I think it's not a coincidence that there was like a huge worldwide depression in 1929, and then, you know, all this time later, there's kind of similar music, a similar idea going out, maybe a bit of escapism, glamour, dressing up, and this great music.
If you don't want to feel out of place at an electro swing party, put on unusual, nostalgic clothing.
You definitely have to wear this hat. Then everything's just right. I popped into a second-hand shop and bought this, and now everything is perfect.
It's really a lot of fun to do this. I went to the trouble of watching lots of tutorials on YouTube to learn how. And I spent an hour doing my hair.
Suspenders are a good start. But a top hat wouldn't be bad either. A white shirt, dark pants, and you're dressed perfectly for an electro swing concert.
Electro Swing par terre.
So whether it's London, Paris, or Berlin, in Electro Swing, dancers don't just take a step forward or to the side, they also always take a giant step backward into the golden age of swing.
Works by French sculptor Bernar Venet can be found all around the world. His steel arcs, like those behind me, are his most famous trademark, and his latest installation is located in the French port of Marseille, one of this year's European capitals of culture. We went to find out more about this award-winning sculptor.
Each of these sculptures by Bernar Venet is 4.5 meters high and weighs 5 tons. The French artist relies on his intuition when it comes to arranging his sculptures.
An installation like this is always a real challenge. It's the first time I've done it like this. Until now, we've always put up just 3 or 4 arcs.
This time, 12 of these steel giants are being erected in Marseille, southern France. The project will be named Désordre, or Disorder.
It's not supposed to be symbolic of anything. I make sculptures that show what I can do. I try not to repeat myself. That's how I expand on a theme.
First of all, he perfects a scaled-down model. The full-sized sculptures are then constructed in Hungary. The arcs and angles are not measured precisely, but rather left to chance.
An element of my work involves arcs, angles, and straight infinite lines. It also has a theoretical side. I'm experimenting with this piece. I ask what more can be achieved. What can I do that's different from the sculptures we know today?
In 1989, Venet bought this old mill and a large plot of land in the south of France. He spends part of the year here in Le Mouilly and the rest in New York. It was there that he turned to maths, numbers, and equations in the 1960s. Inspired by minimalism, he found the basis for his art.
The task of a true artist is to put into question what has been thought, said, and painted in the past. Before these pictures, art was either figurative or abstract. This picture is neither. My idea was to examine an interesting area that hadn't yet been explored.
Lines became a major component of Venet's art. He soon abandoned canvas to make reliefs from wood and steel, and in the 1980s, he began making sculptures of curves, angles, and straight lines. In 1977, he was invited to the Documenta in Kassel and to the Vienna Biennale a year later. His latest work stands in a 1,700 square meter factory space. The lines, angles, and arcs are arranged chaotically. His still structures can be seen around the world in cities like New York, Hong Kong, and Berlin. They are also displayed in international museums and sit proudly in private collections. He's now been announced as the winner of the prestigious Julio González Prize.
The artists that won the prize before me were Rauschenberg, Cy Twombly, Jasper Johns, Solange, Chilida, Anish Kapoor. All great artists and international stars. I'm very flattered.
In 2012, Venet transformed an exclusive Bugatti sports car into a piece of art. Formulas calculating the performance speed of an engine were painted on the outside and embroidered in the interior. The car is expected to fetch between 6 and 7 million euros.
It's great to experience success as a living artist. But am I writing history? Will I be just as honored in 200 years? That's what I'm working towards. Success is relative.
His installations will be on display outside the Palais du Pharaon in Marseille until September 27. Bernar Venet already has 2 other big exhibitions lined up this year, one in Los Angeles and one in South Korea. It'll soon be time for him to rearrange his towering steel giants.
And moving on, we meet up with Stefanie Dietze from Germany, who is a 2-time world champion in unicycling. For most of us, it would be a major achievement to balance on one wheel, let alone doing different tricks and travelling across mountaintops. This is what Dietze likes to do most on her unicycle. But the rough alpine terrain means it requires an even stronger sense of balance and perseverance.
Pedaling down a mountain on a unicycle. It's a difficult task, but not impossible. Stefanie Dietze has spent years training to fulfill her dream. As far as hobbies go, hers is not the most common.
I ride a unicycle because it's always challenging. The more you do it, the harder it gets. And it's great fun, of course.
Bruises are just part and parcel of mountain unicycling. Stefanie takes it in stride. 2 years ago, she moved from Vienna to Berlin, a very flat city. But she has managed to scout out areas to train, like Berlin's so-called Kite Hill. It's only 99 meters high, but steep enough to serve the purpose.
Downhill unicycling is about cycling down the steepest stretch possible without falling. You fall down a lot, and that's the challenge. Cycling over roots and stones in one go, as fast as you can.
Stefanie has been training for 18 years, up to 3 times a week. She started out at a club in her hometown of Rodgau, near Frankfurt. As her friends dropped out, she soldiered on. She says the hardest thing is not giving up. After all, it takes weeks to learn how to go just a few meters.
Riding on a unicycle is great. You feel as though you're tricking gravity because it's almost impossible to balance on such a small point. When you actually manage it and are able to cycle along difficult paths with stones and roots, you get an amazing feeling of freedom.
Last year, Stefanie achieved an ambitious goal together with the 4-time unicycling world champion, Lutz Eichholz. They conquered a 3,000-meter-high mountain in the Dolomites over 2 days. And 2 years ago, 3 of them crossed the Alps from Bavaria to northern Italy.
It's fun to climb bigger and bigger mountains because the landscape changes. 3,000 meters is really high up, so there's a lot of rough terrain. It would be exciting to go even farther and reach 4,000 meters, but it would be very dangerous, but challenging.
And on top of all that, Stefanie has started performing tricks on her unicycle using a lighter, smaller model. Her talent won her 2 world championship titles in pairs freestyle.
You can only do these tricks after practicing hundreds or thousands of times. The nice thing about freestyle is that I feel like I'm floating. I perform the trick so it looks really fluid and comes easily, and it's a great feeling when I'm almost hovering over the ground.
Stefanie has also been an avid climber for 4 years. She's a fan of anything that pushes her boundaries and helps her to overcome her fears.
Climbing is a great complement to unicycling. I can use my sense of balance, but I'm working and training entirely different muscles, and I'm facing other challenges. I have to overcome my vertigo and keep going higher when my muscles have had enough.
Discipline is vital for unicycling, and it's something that Stefanie Dietze certainly doesn't lack. And it keeps her looking ahead. Now she's dreaming about riding her trusty unicycle through the famous mountain bike parks of Canada and the US.
Wintertime for the fashion-conscious female often poses a challenge because the clothes are generally designed for warmth and not for style. That is, unless they are the work of German fashion designer Markus Lupfer, who's made his mark in London, livening up dull sweaters with funky sequined designs.
Loud, colourful and playful, the knitwear of designer Markus Lupfer. Pop art in the finest merino wool. But this isn't mass-produced assembly line fashion. He was born in a small town in Germany where he learned his handicraft at an early age. His grandmother taught him how to knit when he was still a boy.
I started out knitting sweaters and socks. My grandma showed me how to knit socks. It was just a lot of fun, and maybe that's why I slipped into the fashion business. It just interested me.
These days, Markus Lupfer has other people knitting for him. His products are handcrafted in Asia at a cost of 300 to 500 euros per sweater. Like every other major label, Markus creates a summer and a winter collection. All of his designs and prototypes are developed in his studio in London's East End.
The contrast, that is, the sequins on the wool, is always the starting point for our designs. The result is a very flexible final product that can easily be worn during the day or evenings, depending on the style, which shoes you wear, which purse, whether you wear a skirt or jeans. I really like the fact that you can play with that.
Flashback to the mid-90s when Markus Lupfer went to London. He studied fashion at the University of Westminster. After graduating with honours, he soon started his own label. He was celebrated as one of the new discoveries on the fashion scene. That was before his knitwear. It wasn't until 2005 that the 41-year-old redesigned his label. Knitwear would come to dominate his brand, and it would become his biggest success to date.
When I started with the knitwear, my idea was to develop the new T-shirt. I wanted a sweater that was not just a simple sweater in black or gray, but one that had something on it.
Markus Lupfer also reworked his marketing concept. Instead of classic fashion shows and advertising, he produces fashion videos, like this one. His ideas worked. Celebrities like U.S. singers Pink and Christina Aguilera. Britons like Pippa Middleton, Mel C, and Florence Welch make up a devoted clientele. In 2012, Madonna even wore one of his sweaters for the cover of her single, Give Me All Your Lovin'.
When I first heard about that, I thought, well, we'll see. Sometimes they reshoot everything all over again. But then it really came out. And of course, when something like that happens, it's really flattering.
Right now, statement sweaters are a huge trend, but they've been a major element in the collections of Markus Lupfer for years.
Right now, knitwear is making a comeback, simply because it presents new possibilities. It's moving away from straight lines and standard knits to new patterns, new materials, and new combinations. And all of that has always interested me.
Even though winter will soon be over, there's always a new season for Markus Lupfer. Here's a look at next summer's collection.
And our final report today takes us back to the mountains. Starting in the city of Chur, you can take a journey on one of the highest railway lines in Europe. The Bernina Express winds its way through picturesque landscapes from Switzerland in the north to Italy in the south. And with tickets costing just €40, this is one of the cheaper ways for tourists to enjoy a panoramic journey through the Alps.
The Bernina Express is not designed for people in a hurry. The 122-kilometer track was laid down more than 100 years ago in response to growing tourism. While the train can reach quite a pace in some places, the average speed barely climbs above 30 kilometers an hour. In good weather, there are breathtaking views of the surrounding mountains. Traveling by train doesn't get more picturesque than this. And it always helps to have good weather, but the sun doesn't always show its face. A gray day in usually bright Chur doesn't bode well for the journey ahead. Chur is the oldest city in Switzerland and the capital of the canton of Graubünden. It's the starting point of a ride on the Bernina Express. The train operates in all weather. As it plows through freshly fallen snow, the surroundings can be made out only vaguely. Few are put off, however, by the inclement conditions. Instead, they just enjoy the view.
I think it's spectacular because it's winter, you know, it's special because there are ice, waterfalls, something like this.
I've been here in the summertime too, so I just wanted to show how it looks like in the wintertime.
We usually just go by car, but today we decided to try out the Bernina Express.
The train climbs the Bernina Pass and, after crossing into Italy, passes through the Valtellina Valley. The route features numerous masterpieces of rail engineering. The railway has been listed as a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 2008. Driver Silvio Tischhauser takes the train through a total of 55 tunnels and across 196 bridges. One of the most spectacular landmarks is the Landwasser Viaduct.
These beautiful structures blend in with the natural landscape. Nothing is spoiled, and I find it truly fascinating.
Pioneering feats of engineering that are still impressive today. The journey is a must for architecture enthusiasts and engineering fans alike. At last, the sun peeks through. At more than 2,200 meters, the train has now reached its highest point. It's downhill from here. The train whizzes by snow-capped peaks and frozen lakes to snake its way south towards Italy. Moments and views to savor. But natural beauty and historic architecture aren't the only attractions of this particular journey. Those interested in languages and culture have a lot to marvel at too. Traversing no less than 3 linguistic and cultural boundaries makes the journey all the more intriguing.
It's extraordinary that the Bernina Express can move through these 3 language areas from Chur to Tirano in just 4.5 hours. In Chur, people say Grüezi. When you get to Engadine, speakers of Rätoromanisch say Bienvenue in Engadina. And, of course, in Tirano, it's Benvenuto in Italia.
Our journey comes to an abrupt end in Poschiavo, close to the border. A landslide has prevented further travel into Italy. But that turns out to be a pleasant diversion. Poschiavo is considered the most beautiful Swiss town south of the Bernina mountain pass. Locals here are friendly and welcoming. Here, craftspeople create a special kind of jewelry. They make earrings, charms, and necklaces out of gems gathered in the surrounding mountains. This is industry at its most traditional. Poschiavo is full of ancient alleyways, churches, monasteries, and manor houses dating back centuries. There's a distinct southern flair to the place, with Italian influence in the air.
And that tranquil journey brings us to the end of the show for today. Thank you for watching, everyone, and on behalf of all of the team here in the studio, goodbye, ciao, and as we say here in Germany, tschüss.